If you're looking to build a tuner car with a 90s nostalgic character to it, whilst also injecting some modern DNA into it, then I'd recommend you go to HPS Fabworks. If your car has an RB in it, then you seriously need to be considering their products. They know just how to make your car sound like it's straight out of Too Fast, Too Furious. The HPS exhaust manifold for the RB25, RB26, and technically also the RB30, it sounds exquisite. Mint. But better still, they also have a manifold for the 2JZ. And it is based off of none other than the RPS manifold, the same one used for the orange Supra in the first Fast and the Furious film. Man, I cannot wait to hear what that sounds like on a car. I hope the owner of HPS Fabworks sends me a clip as soon as he has one. So let's talk about R34 GTRs. Some R34 GTRs are being listed for $100,000 over what they're worth, or what they sold for at the very least, from the Japan auctions. So I just recently got access to a database that allows me to look at the results of past or current auctions over in Japan. This is great for me because I can actually see what these cars are going for before these dealers go and buy them and mark them up. And I'll tell you right now, my findings are pretty appalling. I get everyone needs to make a living, and everyone wants to make a lot of money, myself included. Greed is probably my #1 greatest sin. But that said, these tactics would have me disgusted with myself, were I to do it. Take this R34 GTR M spec that sold on April 11th of 2024. It's a beautiful car, no denying that. But because it's a 2001, it can't be imported into the US because, it's still 2024. Math is math. Not old enough. According to the records, it sold for $156,520. Well, without naming any names, do you want to guess what the importer who bought it is listing it for right now? Bearing in mind, this is a car that is not legal to be imported into the US yet, which, I'm going to be honest with you here, the US is the sole reason for why the market spiked anyways. What do you think? $170,000? $190,000? $200,000? $210,000? No. It's listed for an eye-watering $254,000. A car that was bought from the auction. Let me just reiterate this. This car was bought for $156,520, and now it's being listed for $254,000. Talk about gross profit. And the shop listing it isn't publicly listing any information to justify the price. As a salesman, you gotta sell the value. So far, they're doing nothing to do that. There's no service records. They're not talking about the condition or the modifications. It's clearly not stock if you look at it. And it's still in Japan. So the markup makes no sense. Were it stateside, maybe I could see it being $200,000, $220,000, something like that. But because it's still across the pond, where's all this extra value coming from all of a sudden? So on top of everything else that you have to pay just to buy this car, you still have to pay the fees to import it, all the tariffs or taxes, and all the transportation costs. And like I said before, I'm not immune to the sins of greed. But this ruins these cars for everybody, except for the people with so much money they've lost all sense of value, and the people selling them. Flipping them, basically. I beg of you guys, if you want one of these cars, find people who will help you scour the auctions. Don't pay the middlemen all these crazy gross markups. No pun intended. Find someone that'll help you with the importation. Find someone that'll help you inspect the cars while they're over there. I know some of these people that are in this business, and I like a lot of these people. They're great founts of knowledge. They're experienced. They're knowledgeable. But I'm on the side of the enthusiasts. I'm always going to be. Not the rich people buying these crazily priced cars or the people pricing them. The original spirit of these cars came from their accessibility and value as performance machines and tuning platforms. If you start pricing them like this, they lose their soul and they just become collector items. Where's the value in buying an R34 GTR if it costs as much of a Huracan and you can modify Huracans pretty extensively too these days?
I want you.
I love you. Why buy an R34 GTR for $200,000 when you can get a Huracan for about the same, and there's no denying that the Audi V10 is a great tuning platform? Where's the argument for the R34 GTR, apart from nostalgia, apart from emotion? Does your heart justify that $200,000 price tag? You know, why buy an R34 GTR for $200,000? And there's no denying the Huracan's a great tuning platform too. The all-wheel drive system is going to be better. The ceiling for modifications is probably even higher. Just twin turbo the darn thing or supercharged, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't make sense. All you've got is nostalgia, emotion, and you know, I'm an emotional guy, as you can tell, but I'm not paying $150,000 for 300 horsepower. That's dumb. I don't care how much money you have or how little sense of value you have left in your body. So you want to build a car using an RB26. Well, what block do you want to use? Do you want to use the 05U, the standard block? Do you want to use the N1 block, known as the 24U, the same block used in the V-Spec 2 NER and the M-Spec NERs? Or do you want to use the GT500 block, otherwise known as the Triple R? That's the same engine block used in race cars, I would imagine, but more importantly, the Nismo Z-Tune. I mean, good luck finding one. But beyond all of those, you may as well just get a billet block, right? From Bullet Race Engineering? Well, now there's a new block on the block. Straight from down under, spawned from the passion and ingenuity of the folks over at Platinum Racing Products, is a new RB26 cast block. Leagues above the N1 and the GT500. And I'll list off a few of the added enhancements that they've put into this custom RB block. Bearing in mind, don't mistake me for an expert, I am just reading a list here. Oil galleries relocated to accommodate larger strokes. Ductile iron construction eliminates the risk of cracking. Siamese bore configuration for added strength, and I had to look up what Siamese boring is because I didn't know. And the result was this, so I'm just going to parrot what I found. It means there is solid metal between the cylinder bores. Siamese bores are much more stable and greatly improve ring and head gasket sealing for increased power and durability. Apparently the standard blocks from the OEM just don't have this. I'm a little shocked. We've also got larger oil drain backs in the block, rerouted turbo oil feed to maintain structural integrity, and additional head and turbo drain provisions in the block as well. And now, combining this with their cast cylinder heads, it just sounds like the perfect way to give your car a perfect beating Aussie heart. Now, I've often said, not always on the channel, that I think Nissan kind of screwed up by not ever making a Bathurst edition of the Skyline GTR. I mean, that's where a ton of the car's notoriety comes from, is the lineage born out of the car's success in Australia. That's where the whole Godzilla name comes from. I think Nissan should have made something to pay homage to all the race cars that earned the GTR the Godzilla moniker. I mean, there was the RX-7 Type R Bathurst. Why is there not a Nissan Skyline GTR Bathurst? Why were there only NER specs? Why was it the M-Spec NER and the V-Spec 2 NER? Why wasn't there, I don't know, a V-Spec Bathurst, you know, Victory Specification Bathurst, or, I don't know, an A-Spec for Australia. I don't know, anything. What would you have called the homologation special limited production car if you were to be paying homage to its successes in Australia? What would you call the Bathurst Edition GTR?